Welcome to your key discovery point. I am Brett Burney from Nextpoint, joined by Doug Austin of eDiscovery today. Now, Doug, this week on the blog, you provided a breath of fresh air for lawyers that might be a little leery about using AI. Or actually, you rather pointed to a new resource from our friend Craig Ball, who has always done a great job of helping lawyers, helping lawyers understand like complex concepts in technology. And his latest publication is the Leery Lawyer's Guide to AI.
Indeed, yes. And it took me a while to realize that he published it. Yeah, as you mentioned, Craig is always does a great job with the guides he puts out. They're really, he puts them at a level that's really easy for the technophobe, the less technical legal people. Yeah, the Leery lawyers to understand. And he did a great job with this one. It's a 30-page guide, but really that includes 3 appendices of previous blog posts he wrote. And he really just covers things at enough of a level to help you understand it. He gets, he talks about the marketplace of products out there. He talks about the fact that he used ChatGPT for kind of his examples and recommends, as I do, that you buy the plus the $20 per month for the plus version because you get to do a lot more things, and it's absolutely well worth it. One of the things I love about it is it kind of goes through getting started. He goes through the privacy settings because that's obviously very important for lawyers. Talks a little bit about hallucinations, talks about customizing settings for litigation efficiency, and then he even gets into a little bit of the technical where he talks about things like token upload and context limits. And I love when he says, "Is this confusing?" Totally.
Absolutely.
Right. But it is good to kind of get into that. That's one of the things that I think he's really, he's gotten into then the practical apps for litigation and trial practice and provides 10 examples of prompts and what have you, which of course makes it at a really good level for people to understand. And if you read the blog post, you've read the main section of the guide. So either way you choose to, but I'd still say download the guide because it has those 3 blog posts he's written in the past, which are also very informative and add to the discussion. So one of the things I decided to do with his example prompts there, with the discovery and ESI protocols example that he provided there, is I decided to do a follow-up post where I kind of varied the prompt example a little bit, but actually used his ESI protocols primer that he wrote a couple of years ago, and actually had it draft a meet and confer letter using that protocol. So my prompt to it was more along the lines of using this guide, draft a meet and confer letter, and so on and so forth. So, and then I basically published the results. So one of the things about this is that I think you get enough enough examples that you can just start thinking about, well, gee, I could use it for this, or I could use it for that. And I think that's the one of the things that I think can really be helpful is you can start to kind of see what a product like ChatGPT or other generative AI platform can do, and then you can just start trying things. And typically when you do, you'll get an output and then you'll say, well, maybe it could be a little bit more here, or do that, a little bit different there. And you follow up prompts then can give you more or less, or say, I want it in paragraph form, I want it in bullet form, whatever the case may be. And that's one of the great things. I think Craig does a great job of getting people started and thinking about what they can use it for, which is just really virtually unlimited in terms of things that you could consider using it for as a lawyer in today's world.
That was the first thing that jumped out at me, Doug, was that it was because we both know Craig pretty well. He does a great job of really breaking down and providing specific prompts that you. I mean, he even says, you don't have to use mine, but this gives you at least a starting point. Because Craig is always so good at breaking down that aspect, so that I guess quote regular people could kind of understand that. But the other thing that jumped out at me is that he was really framing a lot of this specifically for litigators or trial lawyers, as Craig is one, and I kind of like that because we've seen so many prompts that just are like, hey, create a picture that says that the end of the world is here and you're jumping around shooting robots, but it's like, no, these are specific prompts here that you could actually use, to your point about creating an ESI protocol, maybe crafting jury instructions or using it for case chronologies. So I just really loved that aspect of it, that it was even that practical on that specific level there. So it's not just more of a generalist aspect, but like you said, you can take his examples and then run with them from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that trial lawyers can relate to. They're doing things
Yeah.
like drafting deposition questions, or kind of or putting out kind of a letter on meet and confer on an
Right.
ESI protocol. And of course, you have to understand the parameters of what it's generating out. So
Right.
you don't want to just go with it as is without understanding it. But it does. I mean, one of the best things ChatGPT and other Gen AI tools are used for is to really start generating ideas and things you can do
Yes.
and
Right.
things you can include. And I've used it numerous times to say, well, give me a list of things related to this topic. And almost always there might be one or two things that I like, oh, I hadn't thought of that one. Yeah, that's probably a
Uh-huh.
good one to get into as well. And that's one of the things I think these examples really illustrate.
Well, thank you, Craig Ball, for providing the Leery Lawyer's Guide to AI. And thank you, Doug, as always, for finding these things and posting about them at eDiscovery today. Always great to have you. I would also just say, if like most every other vendor in the eDiscovery space, Nextpoint has our own webinar, AI, Nextpoint AI in Action. It's a little showcase you can sign up for. I'll make sure that link is provided as well. And as always, Doug, thanks for joining us for your key discovery point today.
Thanks for having me as always, Brett.